Well, okay, everybody. Welcome back. Today's January the 12th. The title says January 10th. I think you know what's happening here. I got a title on myself. Life's been a little bit busy. Had some moving parts, some unexpected blessings, actually. Um, so we're just playing catch up a little bit. So bear with me as we do that. Trying to be more disciplined and more consistent, but you all know how life goes. Just gotta roll with the punches. Today we're gonna be covering Genesis 31 through 33. We left off at Genesis 30, where Laban was talking to Jacob, just begging him to, stay, help out, help grow all that is his, and yeah, Jacob, he wants to go make his own life with his wives Leah and Rebecca, and Laban's the dad to Leah and yeah, it's Rebecca, right? Let me make sure. No, Rachel and Leah, they're Jacob's wives that he served for 14 years to have their hand in marriage. But yeah, well, they made a deal that he gets all the speckled and spotted and lambs, and Jacob made it to where they're basically only breeding the speckled and spotted ones. And so the resources of Laban are getting smaller, and the resources of Jacob, they're growing. So right before we get started on this, let me turn off my AC real quick. I don't want the thing to be running and interrupting, having poor video quality, audio. All right, thank you for bearing with me right there. All right, let's get into it. Genesis 31. Now Jacob heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's, and from what was our father's he has acquired for his own wealth. So that's the sons of Laban, I guess being a little annoyed or mad at Jacob. And Jacob saw the countenance of Laban, and indeed it was not favorable toward him as before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and your family, and I'll be with you. So Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah back to the field to his flock, and said to them, I see your father's countenance, and it is not favorable towards me as before. But the God of my father has always been with me, and you know that with all my might I have served your father. Yet your father has deceived me and changed my wages 10 times, but God didn't allow him to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be your wages, then all the flock were speckled. And if he said thus, the streaked shall be your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked. So God has taken away the livestock of your father and given them to me. And it happened at the time when the flocks conceived, that I lifted my eyes and saw them in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the flocks were streaked, speckled, and gray spotted. Then the angel of God spoke to me in a dream and said, Jacob, here I am. And he said, lift your eyes now and see, all the rams which leap in the flocks are streaked, speckled, and gray spotted, for I have seen all that Laban is doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now arise, get out of this land, and return to the land of your family, is what God was saying to Jacob in his dream. And then Rachel and Leah, they answered and said to him, is there still any portion of inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not considered strangers by him? For as he sold us, and also completely consumed our money. For all these riches which God has taken away from our father were really ours and our children's. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do it. Then Jacob rose and set his son and his wives down on camels. He carried away all his livestock and possessions which he had gained, in his acquired livestock which he had gained in Padan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen from the house idols that were her father's. And Jacob stole away, unknown to Laban and Syrian, in that he did not tell him that he intended to flee. So he fled with all that he had. He arose and crossed the river and headed towards the mountains of Gilead. So it looks like Rachel, she took some stuff that didn't belong to her, And Jacob, he took his sons and wives and all that he had and the animals. They were set out to the land of Canaan. So Laban pursues Jacob. So continuing on with Genesis 31, Laban was told on the third day that Jacob had fled. And when he took his brethren with him and pursued him for 7 days' journey, uh, and he overtook him in the mountains of Gilead. But God had came to Laban in Syrian in a dream by night, and said to him, "Be careful that you speak to Jacob neither good nor bad." So Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountains, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mountains of Gilead. And Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? Now that you've stolen away from me and carried away my daughters like captives, taken with the sword. Why did you flee secretly and steal away from me? And not tell me, for I have sent you away with joy and songs, with timbrel and harp, and you did not allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now that you have done foolishly, it is in my power to do you no harm. But God of your fathers spoke to me last night, saying, Be careful that you speak to Jacob neither good nor bad. And now you have surely gone, because you greatly long for your father's house. But why did you steal from my gods?" Then Jacob answered and said to Laban, "Because I was afraid, for I said, perhaps you would take your daughters from me by force. With whomever you find your gods, do not let them live. In the presence of our brethren, identify what I have of yours, and take it with you." For Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen. And Laban went into Jacob's tent, into Leah's tent, and into the two maids' tents, but he did not find them. Then he went out of Leah's tent into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household idols and put them in the camel saddle, and she sat on them. And Laban searched all around the tent and didn't find them. And she said to her father, "Let it not displease my lord that I cannot rise before you, for the manner of woman is with me." And he searched for the idols, but did not find the idols. And then Jacob was angry with rebuked Laban, and Jacob answered to him, saying, "What is my trespass? What is my sin, that you have so hotly pursued me? Although you have searched all my things, what part of your household things have you found? Set it here before me, brethren, and your brethren, and they may judge between us both. These 20 years I have been with you. Your ewes and your female goats have not miscarried their young, and I have not eaten the rams of your flock. That which was torn by beast I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it. You required it from my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. There I was, in the drought consumed me, and frost by night, and my sleep departed eyes. Thus I have been in your house 20 years. I have served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years to your flock, and you have changed my wages 10 times. Unless God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. God has seen my affliction and the labor of my hands, and rebuked you last night." So he's saying, "Look, I don't have your stuff. I've been so good to you, and then you're trying to persecute me, saying I stole something. But oh, sneaky Rachel, she's sitting on those idols." So this is Laban's covenant with Jacob now, still in Genesis 31, carrying on to 43, the paragraph. And Laban answered and said to Jacob, "These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and this flock is my flock. All that you see is mine. But what can I do this day to these my daughters and to their children for whom they have borne? Now therefore, come, let us make a covenant, you and I. Let it be a witness between you and me." So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. Then Jacob said to his brethren, "Gather stones," and they all took stones and made a heap, and they ate there at the heap. Laban called it Yegar Sahadutha, but Jacob called it Galid. And Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me this day." Therefore his name was called Galid. Also Mizpah, because he said, "May the Lord watch between you and me when we are absent from one another. If you afflict my daughters, or if you take other wives besides my daughters, although no man is with us, see, God is witness between you and me." And then Laban said to Jacob, Here is the heap, and here is the pillar, which I have placed between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, and I will not pass beyond this heap to you, and you shall not pass between this heap to me for harm. Then the God of Abraham, the God of Nahor, and the God of the father judged between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and called his brethren to eat. And they ate bread and stayed all night on the mountain. And early in the morning, Laban arose, kissed his sons and daughters, he blessed them, and he departed back to his place of dwelling. So, they're not going to move past that boundary of that pillar to do any harm to each other. And God is the witness. I guess Jacob's not going to be taking any more wives. So, on to Genesis 32. So Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met with him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's camp," and he called the name of that place Mahanaim. And Jacob said, messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir in the country of Edom, and commanded them, saying, "Speak thus to my lord Esau. Thus your servant Jacob says, I have dwelt with the Laban and stayed there until now. I have oxen, donkeys, flock, and male and female servant, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find favor in your sight." Then the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother Esau, his younger brother, the more powerful, good hunter, and he is also coming to meet you, with 400 men are with him." So Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that were with him and the flocks and the herds and camels into two different groups or companies, is what it says. And remember, Jacob really deceived Esau, taking his birthright and the blessing that was supposed to be his from his father Isaac by wearing like the sheep costume, I guess. And so after all this time, he's probably thinking that, Esau just still wanting to get like revenge on him, maybe. But we'll see. So after he divides the groups, he says, if Esau comes to me with the one company and attacks it, the other company will escape. So like half his people and group, they'll survive, maybe, is a thought. Then Jacob said, "O my father of Abraham and God of my father Isaac, the Lord who said to me, return to your country and to your family, and I will deal well with you. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth for which you have shown your servant. For I crossed over this Jordan with my staff, and now have become two companies. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and attack me and my mother with the children. For you said, I will surely treat you well and make your descendants as the sea of the sand, which cannot be numbered for multitude." So he lodged there at the same night, and took what had came to his hand as a present from Esau his brother, or for his brother Esau, 200 female goats and 20 male goats, and 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milk camels for their colts, with their colts, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 foals. Then he delivered them to the hand of his servants, every drove by itself, and said to his servants, "Pass over before me, and put some distance between successive droves." Then he commanded the first one, saying, "When Esau my brother meets you, and asks you, saying, To whom do you belong, and where are you going? Whose are these in front of you? Then you shall say, They are your servant Jacob's. It is a present sent to my lord Esau, and behold, he is also behind us." So he commanded the second and third, and all who followed in the droves, in this manner you shall speak to Esau when you find him. And also, behold, your servant Jacob is behind us, for he said, it will appease him with the present that goes before me, and afterwards I will see his face, perhaps he will accept me. So the presents went onward before him, but before he lodged, before he headed out, he lodged in the camp another night. So right here, this is called Wrestling with God. We're starting at Genesis 32, number 22. "And he arose that night with his two wives, and his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed over the ford of Jabbok. And he took them and sent them over the brook, and sent over what he had. Then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. So he sent his wives and sons and servants away, and then it looks like a stranger in the middle of the night he was wrestling with. Now, when he saw that he did not prevail against him, he touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Jacob's hip was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. And he said, "Let me go, for the days break." But he said, "I will not let you go until you bless me." And he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he said, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with men, and have prevailed." Then God said, I can't even read. Then Jacob said, saying, "Tell me your name, I pray." And when he said, "Why is it that you must ask about my name?" And he blessed him there. So Jacob called for the place of Peniel, and he said, "For I have seen God's face to face, and my life is preserved." Just as he crossed over Peniel, the sun rose on him, and he limped on his hip. Therefore, to this day, the children of Israel do not eat the muscle of the shank, which is the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip and the muscle that shrank. So the strange man in the middle of the night, looks like it was God, and they tussled, and it looks like, I guess he touched the socket of the hip of Jacob, and now he walks with the limp, and his socket always hurts, but he got a blessing from the Lord, and his name went from Jacob to Israel. So on to Genesis 33. Now Jacob lifted his eyes and looked, and there was Esau coming, and with him were 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the 2 maidservants. And he put the maidservants and their children in front, Leah and her children behind, and then Rachel and Joseph last. And he crossed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near his brother. But Esau ran to him and embraced him, and then fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. He lifted his eyes and saw that the women and children, said, "Who are these with you?" And he said, "The children from whom God has graciously given your servant." The maidservants came near, and they and their children bowed down. And Leah also came with her children, and they bowed down after Joseph and Rachel came near, and they bowed down. Then Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company which I met?" And he said, These are to find favor in the sight of you, my lord." But Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. This is what you have for yourself. You can keep it." And then Jacob said, "No, please, I have now found favor in your sight. Then receive my present from the hand. Inasmuch as I have seen your face, as though I had seen the face of God, and you are pleased with me. So please, take my blessing that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough." He urged him, and he took it. Then Esau said, "Let us take our journey. Let us go, and I will go before you." But Jacob said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are weak, and the flocks and the herds which are nursing with me. And if the men should drive them hard one day, all the flock will die. Please, my Lord, go ahead before his servant. I will lead on slowly at the pace which the livestock that go before me and the children are able to endure, until I come to my Lord in Seir." So Esau said, "Now let me leave with you some of the people who are with me." But he said, "What need is there? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord." So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir, and Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built himself a house, and made booths for his livestock. Therefore, the name of the place was Succoth. And so Jacob comes to Canaan. This is Genesis 33:18. And then Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. And when he came from Padan Aram, he pitched his tent before the city. And he brought the parcel of land. he bought the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected an altar there and called it El Elohe Israel. So, looks like the journey went good. They made amends, or not necessarily amends, but Esau and Jacob, they were happy to see each other, and Jacob made him take his offering since the Lord blessed him with peace with his brother, and it looks like he just bought some land in the land of Canaan. So that's going to do it for January 10th reading of the Bible. That was Genesis 31 through 33. We'll continue in the next video doing, let's see here, my cheat sheet, Genesis 36 through 34. But thank you for tuning in. Like I said, I apologize for being a little tardy on these videos. We'll just keep, trying in the future and go from there. So if you would, like, comment, subscribe, share, and we'll just keep moving on. Thank you.